The orange extension cord was the first thing I saw, snaking from my porch outlet across the steps like a tripwire to the beige and brown RV squatting at my curb. The second was my electric meter spinning like it was late for a meeting. My name is Raquel Miller. I'm 35, a paralegal at a small firm downtown. I bought my two-bedroom townhouse 2 years ago. I pay my bills on time, and I like my street quiet. Just for a week, Isla said, popping out of the RV in denim cutoffs like she'd been waiting for my car. HOA's on a tear at my place. They sent a letter about street parking, and the fines are insane. I figured you wouldn't mind. Family, right? My eyes went from the orange cord to the curbside mailbox, half blocked by her rear bumper. My mailbox. The RV's nose pushed into the corner where the street bends. The sightline to the stop sign was lousy now. The AC on the RV was humming hard, that deep, steady draw I could feel through my porch railing. My porch outlet cover was flipped open, the plastic hinge bent back like fingers. Isla, I said, steady, you can't run power from my house. It's just a trickle, she said. 15 amps, barely anything. That meter says otherwise. She rolled her eyes. You always get dramatic about bills. It's a week, maybe less. The HOA president is retired and bored and keeps circling with a clipboard like a vulture. I just need them to cool down. I looked past her at the side of my townhouse. The metal door on my exterior breaker panel hung ajar. I hadn't left it like that. I felt the old, familiar pressure at the base of my skull, the one that shows up when I know I'm being set up to be the bad guy. Be nice, my mother's voice said in my head, soft as a sigh. Don't make a scene, my dad added, like a warning. How did you get the outlet on? I asked. She blinked, just a beat too slow. It was on. I plugged in. Uh huh. I bent, unplugged the cord, and set it coil by coil on my porch. The RV's AC wound down like a plane landing. The quiet felt expensive. We need a plan that isn't this, I said. Storage lot, a friend's driveway without an HOA, not my curb, not my power. Storage lots cost money, she said immediately. You know my situation. Why are you being like this? I'm being like a person who pays her own electric bill. She huffed, went slack in that way she does when she wants me to feel guilt fill the space between us. It's a week. Tuesday, I said, glancing at my phone. It's Tuesday. You can sort something out by the weekend. She muttered something about how I wouldn't understand and ducked back into the RV. The door snapped shut. The orange cord lay like a dead snake on my steps. I picked up the metal panel door and latched it, then went inside. In my kitchen, I pulled open the junk drawer where I keep spare batteries, takeout menus, and the spare house key in a little zip bag. The bag was there. The key was not. I stood there with the empty bag in my hand, and my stomach dropped. I texted my parents' group thread. Isla parked an RV at my curb and had it plugged into my porch. This can't be long term. Mom, Mara, bubbled the dots, then nothing. Dad, Trent, sent a thumbs up emoji like this was a grocery list. Be nice, I heard again, like a lullaby and a threat. My phone stayed quiet. I made a sandwich, ate standing at the counter, and watched dusk flatten the street. The RV sat heavy and domestic, blinds drawn, a microwave light glowing behind them. When I went to bed, the house was too quiet. 10 minutes later, the hum came back. Different this time, a lower moan, then the same steady AC thrumming like an apology I wasn't owed. I stared at the ceiling. I did the math I always do with anything that plugs in. A few hours at that draw, times whatever else she had going. The number in my head climbed like a fever. I thought about getting up and unplugging it again. I thought about knocking, about asking for my key back, about not being the difficult one. I rolled over and listened to my own AC kick on, then off like it was trying not to be noticed. I slept in slices. Every time I woke up, the hum was still there, dependable as traffic. Morning came gray and sticky. I padded to the kitchen, flipped the light. It flickered and died. The fridge clicked off. A small pop from the laundry nook made me jump. Great, I said to no one. I went out to the panel. The metal door hung open again, even though I'd latched it. The breaker for the exterior outlets was tripped, the little toggle sitting in the mushy middle. I stared at it, then let my eyes track to the back step. The deadbolt on my back door, always locked, always, was turned horizontal, unlocked. I stood there with my hand on the cool metal of the panel and felt the shape of the night shift under my feet. The key was gone. The door was unlocked. The breaker was flipped. The hum from the RV kept right on going. I knocked on the RV door with the back of my hand. The metal felt like it had been sunning itself all morning. The door cracked open and Isla's face appeared, puffy with sleep. Why are you banging? My back door was unlocked, I said, and my exterior breaker was flipped. Where's my spare key? She opened the door wider and leaned in the frame, arms crossed. Relax. The outlet kept tripping. I flipped the breaker back for you. Your wiring is sensitive. That doesn't explain my back door. She shrugged, eyes sliding off mine. Maybe you forgot to lock it? You said you were tired. I don't forget to lock it. Well, I didn't break in, she said, making little air quotes. I'm not a criminal. I literally flipped a switch so your fridge wouldn't die. You're welcome. The orange cord was plugged in again, neat loops tightened around the slack like someone had cared about presentation. The RV's AC was humming low and steady. I walked to my porch, pulled the plug, and set the cord on the doormat. Seriously? Isla's voice went up. You're going to be selfish about electricity? Selfish about my house, I said. You can't use my power without asking, or at all. And you can't keep my key. She snorted. I don't have your key. Maybe you lost it in your junk drawer abyss. I didn't. She yanked a phone from her pocket and pointed it at me, camera up. Say it again, she said, like she was hosting a show. Tell everyone you won't help your sister for 1 week because of a cord. I'm not doing this on camera. You're the one making it dramatic, she said, flipping the lens to record herself instead. My sister cut my power while I'm dealing with a hostile HOA, she narrated, glossy voice on. Can you believe? I picked up the cord and looped it over my arm. You can stay parked here only if you follow the laws and don't use my electricity. Period. Isla's face flattened. You act like I'm a stranger. It's literally 1 week. My phone rang. Mom. I let it go to voicemail, then watched the text come through. Mom. Family helps family. Please don't make this bigger than it is. Dad followed with a second later. Don't poke the HOA bears, Rack. Let it cool. I stared at the texts and felt that tilt again, how the story always slides. I called Mom back. She answered on the first ring. Honey, she took my spare key, I said. She had the RV plugged in all night. My back door was unlocked this morning. She probably just meant to reset something, Mom said, soft and sweet like warm milk. It's not forever. If you ask her to contribute a little for the power, I'm sure. I did ask her to stop, I said. She plugged back in while filming me. Mom exhaled, that sigh I know too well. Don't escalate this, okay? She's under a lot of stress. The HOA is threatening fines and she panics. We can talk on Sunday. I'm not waiting until Sunday to have my doors locked. Raquel, she said like I was a stubborn child, be generous. I hung up before I said something I couldn't unsay. By late morning, my mail carrier pulled up in her right hand drive truck, all business, visor down. She stopped short of my box, leaned out, and looked at the RV's bumper with the measured patience of someone who has seen everything. She rustled in her satchel, wrote something on a slip, and stuck it on my mailbox flag with blue painter's tape. I met her at the curb. Is that for me? She nodded, not unkind. I can't get to the box. If it's blocked tomorrow, delivery's suspended until it's clear. She tipped her chin at the bumper. Whoever that is needs to move up. Understood, I said. Thank you. The slip was bright and official enough to make my stomach clench. Delivery suspended if access obstructed. I showed it to Isla. It's not even blocking it, she said, hands on hips. She could lean. That's not how it works, I said. You have to move. Where? You're acting like I have options. Storage lot. A friend without an HOA. You can't stay if it's illegal, and you can't stay if you're using my power. She rolled her eyes so hard I could hear it. You love to make rules for me. Basic boundaries aren't rules. She turned away and stomped up the RV steps, muttering, "You're unbelievable." Like a prayer she says every time I won't absorb her consequences. I went back inside, put the cord in my entry closet, and locked the door behind me. I made coffee I didn't want and tried to focus on billable hours from my dining table. Every so often, I'd hear the RV door clank, footsteps, a cupboard. The hum grew louder, then cut. When it cut, my house went quiet in a way that let me hear my own pulse. Around 3, a white city sedan rolled up, hazard lights blinking. A man in a navy polo and safety vest stepped out with a clipboard and a roll of neon stickers. He walked the length of the RV, wrote down the plate, bent to look at chalk marks on the tire, and then smoothed a slap of orange onto the side window facing my curb. It flashed like a traffic cone. I stood at my front window, heart in my throat for no good reason, and watched him tuck a smaller card under my porch mat. He got back in the sedan and drove off without looking around for an audience. I stepped outside. The sticker screamed in block letters, "Warning! Vehicle must be moved within 72 hours or subject to tow per municipal code." Date, time filled in. Today's date, 2:58 p.m. The adhesive was strong. A corner wouldn't budge under my fingernail. Isla appeared at my shoulder, reading. "They can't tow an RV," she scoffed, but I heard the little crack in it. I didn't say anything. I looked at the date again, did the math. Day 1. By Thursday morning, the orange sticker had a clock in my head. I went into the office instead of working from home just to be around people who didn't hum. Lucy leaned over my cubicle wall with her travel mug. "You look like you slept under a highway." "My sister parked an RV at my curb and plugged into my house," I said. "City tagged it yesterday." Lucy blinked once, then slid into the guest chair. "Okay. Paper trail. Photos, timestamps, written boundaries. Imagine you're your own client." I pulled up my phone. I'd already snapped the cord, the bent outlet cover, the breaker panel door ajar. I opened a new shared album and titled it RV June because naming things helps me breathe. "Get meter readings," she said, "morning and night. Tag the time. Get the mailbox blocked from a few angles. Screenshot anything from your mom and dad. Send Isla a clear text. Friday deadline, then you call parking enforcement. She'll blast me in the family thread. Even better, more documentation." Lucy sipped and gave me that look she saves for clients who want to vent instead of resolve. "Set the expectations in writing. Don't argue, don't justify, just state." I typed it out under my desk like I was confessing to a priest. Me to Isla. "You owe me nothing if you move the RV by Friday at 5 p.m. If you don't, I will call the city for enforcement and I will not provide power. Return my spare key by Friday, too." I sent it and took a photo of my office wall clock at 9:12 a.m. because that's who I am. 2 minutes later, my phone pinged. A new message in family in our group chat with a photo of a pie as the icon because mom thinks we're charming. Isla. "Can you believe Raquel is threatening to call the city on me while I'm dealing with HOA harassment? Family helps family." Mom. "Honey, is there another way? Maybe let things settle until Sunday?" Dad. "We can sort it out Sunday lunch. Don't make any calls, Rack." Lucy watched my face tilt and held out her hand. I gave her the phone. She scrolled, then gave it back. "Reply only to Isla. Keep it boring." Me to Isla, Friday, 5 p.m. Move the RV. Return my key. No emoji. No lecture. At lunch, I walked around the block to clear my head and ordered 2 locking outlet covers on my phone with overnight shipping. $26 each, which felt like a small invoice for peace. I called a locksmith and booked Saturday morning for a rekey, front, back, and the side gate. He put me on for 10 a.m. "If you need to move it up, call," he said. "We've got an evening slot tomorrow." "Noted," I said. On my way home, I pulled over a block early and took photos of the RV from the corner. One frame with the stop sign and the RV poking into the sightline, one with the mailbox half swallowed by her bumper. The orange tag caught the sunset and looked like a warning flare. When I got to my porch, there was a card tucked under the mat. City of my city, parking enforcement, Officer Stevens, a name and a number. I took a photo, front and back, in my entryway light and added it to the album. I also lined up my electric meter with yesterday's shot and took another, the numbers clicking forward like a gas pump. The tag on the RV had a corner peeled like someone picked at it and then realized how sticky it was. There was a thumbprint in the adhesive. I took a close up. Usla stepped out, saw me, and rolled her eyes like it was her knee jerk. You're making a thing out of nothing. You tried to remove a city tag, I said. That is a thing. It was crooked, she said, and went back inside. I made dinner and set timer reminders on my phone. 8 p.m. Meter reading, 7 a.m. Meter reading, photograph mailbox daily. I took a photo of the note the mail carrier had taped yesterday, and the empty spot in my box today because she'd had to skip me. The silence of an empty mailbox is loud when you're used to junk coupons. At 10, I turned off my lamps and double checked the locks. The closet with the coiled orange cord was shut. I tested the deadbolt on the back door twice. I put my phone on the nightstand, the album open, like I could catch proof in my sleep. At 2:03 a.m., I woke to a coughing, chugging sound like a lawnmower with pneumonia. The RV generator. It sputtered, revved, coughed, and died. My living room lights flickered once, a quick dip, like something tugged on the circuit. I held my breath and heard my porch outlet cover click against the siding, that tiny, unmistakable plastic tap of being flipped open. Then the hum came back. Lower at first, then steady. The RV's AC spooled up like a freight train you stop noticing if you try. I got up, looked through the blinds. A different cord now, yellow this time, snaked from the RV to my porch. My outlet cover hung open again, the little hinge at a worse angle. I took a picture through the glass. It bloomed with my reflection, but the cord showed. I didn't go outside. I took a photo of the digital clock on my stove in the dark, 2:07, and then another of the meter, digits ghosting in the porch light. I texted the album link to myself and to Lucy, even though she was asleep. Mita Isla, 2:09 a.m. Unplug from my house. This is the third time. Return my key tomorrow. No typing bubbles. Just the hum, filling the house I pay for. I went back to bed and stared at the ceiling, counting the seconds between each breath until the numbers in my head settled into something I could pay with a check if I had to. Friday was a day and a half away. By Thursday night, the orange tag looked radioactive in the streetlight. I was brushing my teeth when the porch board creaked in that way it does when someone shifts their weight. I opened my front door. Isla was on my steps, with the orange cord looped over her shoulder like a bandolier, the same one I'd put in my entry closet. How did you get that? I asked. My voice came out low. She didn't even flinch. You're hoarding extension cords now? That was inside my house. She shrugged. You weren't using it. Return my key, I said. I don't have your precious key, she shot back, rolling the word precious around like I was clutching a pearl necklace instead of trying to not have my home siphoned. She bent toward the porch outlet. I stepped closer and held out my phone. Don't! I snapped a photo of her hand on the little plastic cover before she flipped it open. The hinge made that tired click I've started to hate. She scanned the street, sleepy quiet at 10:30, then nodded at the orange sticker. That doesn't mean anything. Tow trucks won't touch an RV. Liability. It means 72 hours, I said. It means Friday at 5 p.m. You move it. You can't even give me until Sunday? We always do Sunday. We're not making this a family calendar item. You love pointing to rules when it's me. She slid the plug toward the outlet. I pulled it back and kept my voice even. You can park here if you're legal. You don't get my power. Those are the rules of my house. A cough came from the hedge line and then a knock on the edge of my porch post. Brad from next door stepped into the spill of my porch light, hands out like he was showing he came in peace. Sorry, he said. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop. I just Look, that thing's sticking into the corner. If there's a fender bender because no one can see the stop, it's on us. He tipped his head at the tag. The city already marked it. Isla's smile went thin. Hi, Brad. We're handling it. I'm not trying to be a jerk, he said, apologetic, because that's who he is. We've got kids riding scooters. I can't see around it when I pull out. I'd feel terrible if. He stopped, shook his head. I'll call if it's still there tomorrow. Just letting you know. He went back to his yard. The air felt like it thickened in his wake. My phone started buzzing. Mom. I let it go to voicemail, but it lit again immediately. I answered. What? Honey, Mom said, drawing the words out like it could blanket us. Don't escalate this. Please, your sister is overwhelmed. We can talk about the key and the electricity on Sunday. I'm on my porch with her right now, I said. She has a cord that was inside my house. Mom dropped her voice even though no one else was on our line. Can you just be patient? The HOA is being awful. She can't leave it at her place, and a tow is. I'm not towing her, I said. The city will. I gave her a deadline. Isla edged the plug toward the outlet again, watching my phone on my palm like it might bite. I lifted it and took another photo. Her hand on the outlet cover, the orange tag glowing behind her in the window. She turned her face away. Are you photographing me? She snapped. That's weird. I'm documenting my property, I said. Raquel, Mom said in my ear, don't make this a court case. I hung up. You are unbelievable, Isla said, but it came out tired. So move it, I said, or park it legally, or pay for storage, or ask one of your non HOA friends. She laughed without humor. Everyone has HOAs now. You live in fantasy land. She reached for the plug fast, like she could catch me off guard. I pulled it up and held it against my chest. You're going to deny me power? She asked, making it sound like I was unplugging her life support instead of her air conditioner. You're going to stop using mine. We stood there long enough that a moth battered itself to death against the porch light. She finally spun and stomped down the steps, muttering. I watched her in the wash of the streetlight. She went to the RV, yanked the door. It clanged. The orange tag's corner fluttered where she'd tried to peel it earlier. I took a close up of the torn edge while she was inside. Then I backed up and got the whole scene: street, stop sign, RV nose at the corner with the time stamped at the bottom. Inside my house, I checked the back door out of a reflex. The deadbolt was horizontal again. I'd locked it at 10. My skin prickled. The key wasn't hypothetical anymore. It was a straight line from my empty zip bag to the orange cord that had magically reappeared, and now to this stupid lock that kept finding itself open. A second later, the power blipped. The fridge clicked off, then back on with its soft electronic ding. The thermostat hiccuped. I could feel the outage in the air like a breath held too long. Through the kitchen window, I saw a shadow move by the exterior breaker panel. The little metal door gave itself away with a dull tap. Of course. I went back to the porch. The cord was gone from my hands. Isla stood at the top step with it half coiled, chin high like a challenge. Stop flipping my breakers, I said. I'm trying to keep the outlet from tripping, she said. Your wiring sucks. You do not get to touch my panel, my doors, or my outlets, I said, each word pared down to the bone. Return my key. I told you, she said, that syrupy innocence coating her tongue. I don't have it. I held her eyes until she looked away. Then I took one more photo, her hand on the orange cord, the tag, the stop sign, and went inside. I slid the chain across even though the deadbolt should have been enough, and texted Lucy the latest pictures without commentary. The hum came back 5 minutes later anyway. Friday started with the meter clicking over like it had an appointment to keep. I took the 7:02 a.m. photo, then opened my email. Subject line: Your bill is ready. I scrolled and felt my mouth go dry. The amount due was $82 higher than my average. Some of that was early summer AC, sure, but the last few nights of someone else's hum lived in that number. It made the fight feel less like a principle and more like a charge on my debit card. I texted Isla, you owe me $82 for power now. Friday, 5 p.m. Move the RV and return my key or I call parking enforcement. I took a screenshot of the text and saved it to the album. Then I printed the screenshot on my home printer, ink a little streaky, and slid the paper under her RV door with the edge of my shoe. The door rattled but didn't open. Mom texted the family chat. Can we please all take a breath? Sunday we'll sit down and talk this through. Dad followed with his favorite posture. Think about your sister's situation. It's hard right now. I hit reply, then backspace twice. I opened a new text to Dad alone. I am done being the situation. Friday, 5 p.m. stands. Three dots, then nothing. I added the screenshot of that to the album, too. At my dining table, I pulled up the county court site and clicked through very familiar pages. Small claims forms live under self help. Claim and order, proof of service. I downloaded the packet and printed it all. The paper came out warm, a ridiculous comfort. I filled in the top lines in neat block letters, names, addresses, the words utility costs, and locksmith. I tucked the forms into my work bag and circled Friday on the little magnetic calendar on my fridge, thick red marker like I was prepping for trial. Lucy called on her way in. How's the campground? Unchanged, I said. Bill came, $82 higher. Good. Numbers are your friend. Did you set a hard line? 5 p.m. Today. Texted. Printed. Paper under her door. That's my paralegal, she said. If she tries to bait you in the group chat, don't bite. If you call enforcement, be calm and factual. You're not mad. You're a resident asking for code to be enforced? Right. And call the locksmith if you need to move him up, she added. The back door thing. I know, I said. I know. By late morning, the house felt like it was holding its breath. I did 2 hours of billing and couldn't tell you what I wrote. The mail truck slowed, hesitated, then passed me again. No stop at my box. I snapped a photo of the empty mouth of it out of habit. At noon, the RV door yanked open. Isla came out in sunglasses like armor and found the paper I'd slid under earlier. She unfolded it, read, and laughed, short, mirthless. She looked straight at my window like she could see me. Her phone came out. I watched her thumbs move, then my screen lit up. Isla and family. Raquel's threatening to call a tow on me at 5 p.m. Over $82. I can't believe this. Mom, honey, please, both of you, stop with the threats. Dad, Rack, don't. We'll cover some of the power on Sunday. No need to bring the city into this. Me to Isla directly. 5 p.m. Return my key. No one responded to that. At one, I stepped outside to get a photo of the plate and the tire chalk lines, just in case. The orange sticker from Wednesday was still there, ragged at the corner where her thumbprint lived. I took another close up, my shadow cutting across the paint. I locked my front door, tested the handle, and checked the back again. Still locked. I hated that I didn't trust it. At 2:20, a white city sedan rolled up for the second time in as many days. Same navy polo, safety vest, clipboard. The man I assumed was Officer Stevens got out and walked the RV in a slow circle like he was counting steps. He checked the stop sign sightline from the corner, stood in the middle of the street, squinted, and made a note. Then he peeled a brand new orange sticker and smoothed it clean over the window next to the first, brighter and harder to ignore. He took a photo of his own. I opened my door. Officer Stevens? He looked over. Are you the property owner? I am, I said. Raquel. He nodded like he recognized my name. We had a complaint about visibility at the intersection and mailbox obstruction. The initial 72-hour mark is tomorrow afternoon, but the obstruction is a separate issue. If it's not moved, we can proceed sooner under that code. He tucked a business card under my doormat. If you need to call, call this number, not the general line. I put my foot on the mat and felt the card. Thank you. Document everything, he said, glancing at the phone in my hand. Photos are good. Don't engage. We'll handle the tow if it comes to it. He got back in his sedan and left without any drama, which made my heart race harder for some reason. I crouched and pulled up the mat. Another card, fresh. I added it to the album with the previous one so I didn't accidentally throw it out. I texted Lucy a photo of the new sticker. She replied with a gavel emoji and then, immediately after 5, if not resolved. You set the line. At 3:45, I heard Isla's generator cough again, then her door, then footsteps on my porch. I stayed inside. The outlet cover tapped against the siding, then closed. I waited a beat, opened my door. No cord, no Isla, just the quiet hiss of hot air and the orange stickers catching sun like they could ignite. I put my phone on the counter, face down, and stared at the red circle around today on my fridge calendar. It looked like a target. At 4:59 p.m., another city sedan rolled past, slow and kept going. Day 3. The new sticker's timestamp glowed fresh ink. My doormat had a second identical card tucked under it, like a reminder. I looked at the clock, then at my phone, and felt something settle in my chest that had been loose all week. 5 o'clock had arrived. At 5:01 p.m., I called the number on Officer Stevens' card with my thumb already shaking. Parking enforcement, a woman answered. This is Raquel Miller on Willow Bend, I said. We spoke yesterday. Officer Stevens left his card. The RV with the obstruction tag is still here. I set a 5 p.m. deadline, and it's passed. She asked for the plate, confirmed my address, and then, hold. A click. Then, Officer Stevens is en route. Tow has been notified under the obstruction code. I hung up and stood in my living room with the blinds half open. My calendar's red circle on the fridge watched me from the kitchen like a dare. 10 minutes later, the navy polo, the vest, and the clipboard appeared at the curb. Officer Stevens looked up at my window and nodded once. He checked the stop sign line of sight again, the mailbox clearance, and the timestamp on the fresh sticker. He took photos, then made a call on his radio. The tow truck announced itself 2 blocks away. A heavy rumble, the rattle of chains, the slow, inevitable noise of consequences. It backed down my street in slow motion, orange beacons sweeping the front of my townhouse. Brad stepped onto his porch and stayed quiet, arms folded. Isla burst out of the RV barefoot, hair wild, phone already in her hand. You can't tow me, she said, voice high and sharp. It's an RV. Stevens kept his tone even. Ma'am, it's obstructing the intersection and the mailbox. It's been tagged with notice. Step back while the operator hooks up. She pivoted to me. Are you serious? You called them? Over a week? Over $82? I didn't look away. I gave you notice. Move it by 5. Return my key. You didn't. Family helps family, she said, filming, tears standing in her eyes. You're ruining my life. My phone lit with mom's name, then dad's, then mom again. I let them roll to voicemail. The tow operator dropped his wheel lift, knelt, and slid metal under the rear tires with the practiced movements of someone who has done this 1,000 times. Chains clinked. He didn't look at us. Get your personal items, Stevens said to Isla, gentle but firm. You may not access the vehicle after it's on the lot tonight. She scrambled up the steps, came back with a backpack and a shoebox, and then hovered like she could will the truck to vanish. You're going to regret this, she said to me, but it landed flat. I'm not speaking to you again. The operator cranked, gears engaged, and the RV lifted with a groan. The orange sticker looked ridiculous under the floodlights of the truck. My stomach knotted, not from triumph, but from the sheer spectacle of it in front of my house. I'm noting you notified her, Stevens said to me quietly as he signed something on his clipboard. If you have any further issues, keep using that album you've got going. It helps. I gave her notice, I said, because saying it out loud mattered to me. He nodded. We'll clear the intersection and the mailbox. Mail can resume tomorrow. Isla was crying now. Ugly cry, phone held up like a shield. You've always been like this, she said, pointing at rules and making me feel small. I asked for my door to be locked, I said. I asked for you to stop using my power. The truck pulled forward, the RV trailing at a slant, and turned the corner. The street snapped quiet in the way it does after a storm. Brad gave me a small nod and disappeared into his house. I exhaled. The hum was gone. The quiet was mine again. I pulled out my phone and texted Isla, keeping it surgical. Call the number on the tag for the release. Bring $82 for electric and $110 for locks by Sunday or I file Monday. 3 dots appeared, disappeared. Nothing came in. The package with the locking outlet covers sat where the mail carrier had left it earlier, a neat rectangle against my door. I brought it in and set it on the counter next to the stack of small claims forms. I called the locksmith. Can you still do tonight? I asked. Front and back. He checked. I can be there in an hour. Thank you. Mom called again. I let it go. Then Dad. Then Mom again. Voicemail transcription popping up. Honey, call me back. Please, this is not necessary. I swept the porch while I waited. Busy hands, empty brain. I brushed dirt out of the deadbolt plate and checked the back door again for the third time today, fingers daring the turn. It held. Still, I wanted the metal pins in there to be ones only I had. The locksmith's van pulled up just after 7. He was quick, efficient, and didn't make small talk beyond what he needed. 2 new keys, he said, holding them out on a little ring. The invoice read $110, neat block numbers. I paid and tipped him in cash because he came same day. Any issues with the side gate? He asked, glancing that way. It's fine, I said. Just these. He left, taillights fading. I turned the new key in the front deadbolt. It clicked clean, final. I did the back and stood there a second longer than necessary, my palm on the cool metal. My phone rang. Isla. I almost let it go to voicemail, but answered. Her voice was small, the performance gone. Can you please come to the tow lot? I don't have enough. I didn't go to the tow lot. I told Isla I'd meet her Monday morning at the courthouse where parking enforcement has their window. Bring 190 doodlers for what you owe me, I said. Use the number on the card to get the release. I'm not paying your tow. Saturday was finally quiet. No hum through the walls, no cord slung like a dare on my steps. The mail truck actually stopped, a small, normal mercy. I turned my new keys in the locks 3 times just because I could. Monday at 8:50 a.m., I sat on a hard bench under a sign that said Traffic Dart Code Enforcement, Room 104. The hallway smelled like old coffee and floor wax. I had my small claims packet in a manila folder, a simple receipt I'd typed up. Received from Isla, $82 electric, $110 locksmith, paid in full, and a pen that writes even on weird paper. Isla showed at 9:07, sunglasses pushed into messy hair, a manila envelope clutched to her chest. She looked wrung out in a way I recognized but didn't want to own. I can't get the RV without the release, she said, holding up a white form stamped City of My City. They said I need to pay the tow first. It's $275 plus storage, 65 a day. She smacked the fee list with the back of her hand. It's ridiculous. It's expensive to ignore rules, I said, keeping it level. She took off her sunglasses and rubbed the bridge of her nose. Can you just spot me for your part? I'll get you back later. No, I said. Your part is the tow, my part is my house. I told you Friday what I needed. Half now for electric? She tried. I'll send the rest when I get paid. I swear. I opened my folder and laid the receipt on the bench between us. This is what I'll accept today. 192, paid in full. If you don't have it, I file these. I tapped the small claims packet. Today? She stared at the packet like it might bite. You're seriously going to sue me? I brought you here to avoid that, I said, but I'm not going to be your power strip or your scapegoat. I'm done absorbing the fallout when you ignore rules. A beat passed where I thought she'd walk. Then she dug into the envelope and came up with a wad of cash that looked like it had been collected from couch cushions and friends' glove boxes, 20s, 10s, a few 5s. She counted slowly, lips moving. 160, 80, 90, she said, and then looked at me. I'm shorts too. I'd lifted my pen and waited. She sighed and fished another 5 out of the pocket of her hoodie, flattening it on her knee. 2, she said, nudging the receipt toward me with it. Happy? I'm not happy, I said. I'm trying to be clear. I wrote, received 190 tells, dated it, and signed. I slid it to her to sign too. Her hand hovered like it weighed a pound more than usual, then she scrawled her name. I took a photo of the signed receipt on the bench with my phone and added it to the album. She glanced at my folder. What's in there? Photos, I said. Meter, mailbox. The tag. Your hand on my outlet. She rolled her eyes, but not with her usual heat. You really made it a court case. You made it a problem at my house, I said. I handled it. She folded the receipt and tucked it into her envelope with the release form and fee sheet. I'll figure out the tow, she muttered. Maybe Mom will. I'm not calling Mom, I said. And I changed my locks. The key you took won't work. Her head snapped up. I didn't take your key. My back door was unlocked 3 times, I said. I'm not arguing about it. It's handled. For a second, something like shame crossed her face. Then the mask slid back on. Whatever. We stood. The hallway hummed with fluorescent lights and the soft murmur of other people's problems. We walked toward the glass doors together because there's only one way out. I'm not trying to ruin your life, I said before we hit the bright outside. I'm saying I love you, and my curb and my power aren't free. She didn't answer. On the steps, her phone rang. Mom. Mine rang too, a second later. Isla swiped and put it on speaker. Honey? Mom's voice filled the concrete and glass. Are you together? Can't you two put this behind you? It's family. Isla looked at me then, like I was supposed to answer for both of us. I didn't answer for both of us. I'm putting it behind me by paying what I owed and getting my house back, I said into Isla's phone. I love you. My curb and my power aren't free. Mom started to say my name like a long apology. I handed Isla her phone and pushed the glass door open to the bright heat. She didn't follow right away. Back home, the new deadbolt clicked like a period at the end of a sentence. I took the locking outlet covers out of their packaging, the cheap plastic smell filling my small entryway, and went to the porch with a screwdriver, 2 screws out, old cracked flip cover off. The new cover slid on clean. I tightened it until it hugged the siding and snapped the little keyed door shut. I did the same at the side outlet under the kitchen window. 2 tiny keys went on my ring with the new house keys, heavier now in my palm. The album on my phone sat fat with evidence. I scrolled from cord to tag to meter to receipt. One last photo, the outlet covers, keyed and closed. I added it and sent the whole thing to my personal email, a habit from work. Then I archived the text thread with Isla so I wouldn't keep staring at the bubbles that didn't mean anything. Around noon, the mail truck finally stopped. The carrier leaned out, lifted her visor, and gave me a small nod as she slid envelopes into my box. Thanks, I said. Clear now, she said, businesslike, and rolled on. Brad was watering his front shrubs. He caught my eye and lifted the hose in a little salute. Looks better, he said. No lecture, just that. I gave him a nod back. My parents texted separately around 3. Mom, we're bringing a pie by around 6. Is that okay? Dad, we just want to talk. Okay, I replied. Then I put my phone face down and made a grocery list I didn't strictly need. At 6 sharp, Mom and Dad stood on my porch with a store pie and expressions like they were rehearsing serenity. I let them in. Mom set the pie on the counter and smoothed the plastic like she could iron the week out of it. Honey, she started, this got so out of hand. It got handled, I said. I poured water into 3 glasses, set them down, and leaned on the counter so I wouldn't pace. I'm not mad. I am done with unlocked doors and surprise cords. Dad cleared his throat. We don't like being in the middle. Then don't be, I said. If Isla calls you about my house, tell her to call me, and the rule is this: I love you, and my curb and my power aren't free. Mom flinched at the word rule. That sounds so clear, I offered. I am happy to host dinner, help move a couch, show up for holidays. I'm not a storage lot, and I'm not a power strip. Dad nodded once, slow. Mom's mouth flattened, then softened. We understand, she said, and it sounded like it cost her something to hand that over. We just want peace. So do I said. This is how I get it. We ate pie on small plates with forks that scraped a little. They kept the talk to weather and Dad's tomato plants and a movie Mom saw with her book club. When they left, Mom hugged me tight like she was trying to glue cracks. I hugged back without pretending it made everything simple. My phone buzzed a half hour later. Isla, a photo of the RV squeezed between chain link fences, rows of other vehicles under a hard sun. Caption: Ugh. I stared at it a second. Then, glad you found storage. Three dots appeared, then vanished. Nothing else came in. A minute later, Dad sent a thumbs up to our family chat, and Mom a heart to Isla's photo. I muted the thread for the night. I showered and let the steam scrub the week out of my hair. When I came out, the house felt like itself again. No extra hum. No cords sneaking under doors. I turned my new key in the front lock just to hear that clean click and checked the back door. Locked. The chain slid back into place with a soft clink I hadn't realized I loved. Lucy texted, "Did you file?" "No. She paid me." "RV's in storage." "Locks changed." "Outlet covers installed." "Proud of you," she wrote. "Boundaries are boring until they're life saving." I stood on my porch for a minute, watching the street blue itself into evening. The stop sign at the corner was just a sign again. A kid on a scooter zipped past with a helmet slightly too big. Somewhere down the block, someone grilled something that smelled like summer. Inside, my fridge hummed its own small, steady song. The meter outside still turned because square lights turn on and AC kicks in and houses breathe, but it moved like it belonged to me again. I rinsed my plate, set it in the rack, and turned off the kitchen light. The outlet cover next to the window caught the last of the day and didn't budge.